Here's Paul Catalina and Craig Smoak.
Welcome back into SicEm365 Radio. Jason King, one of our contributors at SicEm365.com, also does a great podcast with Ashley Hodge on the field of 68.com, and you can go there. Jason, this has been kind of a wild week in college basketball, I guess, or in the middle of the week when you start thinking about no more Mike Krzyzewski at Duke in a year. What do you think the ripple effect is at Duke with Mike Krzyzewski gone?
Well, I do think it'll hurt their brand a tad, maybe in the short term. But I think John Shire comes in and does a good job and kind of continues or kind of maintains the culture that Mike Krzyzewski's established there, then maybe it won't be too big of a hit. The thing is, though, is just we can all get a little annoyed with Coach K over the years. He kind of wore on me a little bit as a reporter and even as a viewer at times. But at the end of the day, man, the guy's an elite coach. He's one of the top, 2 or 3 coaches, if not the best coach to ever coach college basketball. So, John Shire's got a heck of a task ahead of him. It's going to be hard to maintain, what he did at that high of a level year after year after year. So I don't know what the ripple effect will be, but I do think that, Duke will still be a highly, regarded program that they'll probably dip a little bit without question.
Jason, I saw where Baylor signees are freshmen now. Kendall Brown and Langston Love were among 27 players invited to attend the Under-19 World Cup training camp for USA Basketball. Obviously, this last weekend, everybody started to arrive on campus. Just what's kind of the feel, the buzz, what have you, about the newcomers and what they're bringing to the table?
Yeah, it's crazy, because, we're 2 months away from the title. And a lot of times, attention shifts to football. And rightfully so, it should. But I just love how everyone is still talking about basketball, not just the championship, but what's ahead next season. I mean, people, there's as much of a buzz about basketball right now as I've ever seen in the off season, and rightfully so. They're going to be bringing so much back. But like every year at every school, everyone wants to talk about the newcomers. I remember when I covered Kansas every year, it was like they want to talk about these incoming McDonald's All-Americans and highly rated freshmen, and that's fine. But I think at the end of the teams, it's your veterans and your returnees that are going to keep you afloat in the immediate future or whatever. So I do think Kendall Brown, though, is going to be a guy that contributes heavily. If he doesn't start, I think he'll be the first guard off the bench. But he's not coming to Baylor to come off the bench. He's coming to start. I think he probably will. And obviously, Akinjo from Arizona. If he gets his waiver, you got to pencil him in as a starter as well. I believe he's already on campus. So those are the 2 newcomers I see having the biggest impact. I do think see a little Langston Love off the bench at times, but man, what an exciting time for Baylor basketball.
We had Jarryd Butler on the other day. Where do you rank him all time, Baylor basketball players?
I rank him number 1. I really do, and I mentioned this the other day to someone, but just his overall body of work. I mean, I think there is an argument that can be made at the end of the year. Davion Mitchell is the best player on Baylor's team. He's going to get drafted higher. He was certainly impacting the game in a major way. But Butler, ended up being the Final Four MVP. When you look at what he did over 3 years, man, just in terms of not just winning, but just establishing a culture, representing Baylor away from the court. I mean, being a good ambassador for the entire school. I mean, what a neat thing it is after years and years of negativity that it just rained down on Baylor to now be able to trot that guy out on national TV. This is Baylor University. This is Baylor basketball. I think he's got to go down as not just the best Baylor player in history, but the best, probably one of the best top 2 or 3 Baylor athletes in history, in terms of what he accomplished while he was in Waco.
Any surprise on your end, Jason? I mean, I think there was some chatter, how fans can be, that, the longer it dragged on, maybe that means that he's thinking about it, but it seemed like he had pretty much made up his mind. So was there any surprise on your end?
Not really. I mean, I think, the chatter was maybe a little bit of hope, like false hope. I had it a little bit myself, but, as long as he feels good about what he's hearing or the feedback he's getting, especially in terms of medical stuff and everything, I think he's ready to go. So, sometimes it's, you win that title and it's just, it's like if he came back, it would be just so hard. They could have a great season and lose in the Elite Eight or something, and then you feel like you've let everyone down. I mean, it's just hard to top that. There's something to be said for going on top, especially when you have a chance to be a first-round draft pick. So I don't really blame him. I think mentally he's probably moved on, and I understand that. So, but I just hope, and I think he will be a guy that, is back in Waco a lot. I mean, I'm sure there'll be different ways to honor him over the years, all sorts of reunions, and who knows when maybe after he's done with his NBA career, he comes back and somehow affiliates himself with Baylor in some way. So I just feel lucky to have covered him. And I don't forget, man, like end of his freshman year after Tristan Clark got hurt, he started playing a lot of minutes, and I was having an off-season call. I was talking to Bill Self. Actually, I was trying to choose the preseason all-conference team heading into Butler's sophomore year for Athlons. And I just remember I told Bill, so I said, I think Butler's going to be the best guard that's ever played for Scott Drew. And he goes, I totally agree. He goes, he's smooth. And I don't think nationally people were catching on yet to him. Athlon's magazine wanted me to put Tristan Clark first team, and they kind of forced me to, I'm telling you guys, this Butler guy is so good at it. His sophomore year, he just exploded. So, man, he was good. He was good. What a find by Baylor, and what a big deal that was to get him from Alabama.
All right, the last question, you brought up Bill Self. He has, just dominated the transfer portal this offseason. And they kind of needed that. I mean, with the pending kind of NCAA stuff hanging over them, of course, who the hell knows when that's ever going to happen.
Yeah, and they weren't very good, besides that.
They were not up to Kansas's standards, but how do you feel that this lineup that he's about to put together will take on the Big 12 next year after a down year for Kansas, which doesn't happen that often?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of it depends on whether they get Jalen Wilson and that Ochai Agbaji back. They're both tinkering with entering the draft, whatever. They haven't announced yet. Unless I've missed it. But if they come back there and then you mix in all those transfers, they'll be really good. I mean, they'll be a top 3 team and they'll contend for the title. And they contended. I mean, they were a top 2 or 3 team last year, and they sucked for the most part. So I just think he's a phenomenal coach. But the thing is, like with all these transfers, like, people see Baylor having success with some guys like Teague and stuff. Man, and I think they just think it's easy. It's not. I mean, Kansas bringing in 5 or 6 transfers, whatever they did, that are all kind of expected to play a little bit. That's tough. I mean, like just because you get some good players, man, that's not all there is to it. I mean, you got to find a way to get them to gel and and have some cohesion there. And Bill Self being a really hard nosed kind of defensive coach, he's got to get those guys to buy in to play how he wants them to play. I mean, just because you show up to the blacktop with a bunch of studs doesn't always mean you're going to win. I mean, how are they going to get along? How are they going to react to being benched? I mean, so the whole transfer portal thing, I mean, is good, but especially if you're bringing in 1 or 2 guys and making red shirt and kind of learn the culture, and like Teague did, like Mitchell did. But I mean, some of these schools, I mean, Texas is another one. I mean, like, how many, we watched Chris Beard bring in tons of transfers at Texas Tech, especially after they made I'm talking about mainly over the past 2 seasons. They didn't do as well, did they? I mean, like, I forgot, I can't remember all their names, but they had a lot of guys that were supposed to be these highly touted. Yeah. And McClung was one. And the kid the year before from Stephen F. Austin, the big center. They had the Wichita State transfer this past year, didn't do much. Samarius Burton, I believe it was. So it's not easy, but they also had some success with some guys. Matt Mooney, when they went to the Final Four, he was good. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But just to think it's automatically going to happen because you brought in some random dude from Rutgers or whatever, or Drake, I mean, it's about more than that. So, the good coaches, though, usually find a way to make it work.
What do you think? What do you think about the announcement yesterday? Baylor Villanova, a little Sweet 16 rematch.
Oh man, I'm excited. Hopefully Villanova doesn't find a reason to back out like they did this past season. But I'm sure they'll play it, and Villanova's going to be really good, man. They're bringing a lot back, and so is Baylor. So I think Baylor's overall schedule is. I mean, I was excited for it this past year, and obviously they kind of got screwed up with some stuff, but I'm excited for just the whole schedule this year. That Battle for Atlantis tournament's going to be great. I believe they're going to Oregon. Villanova coming to town. So, but teams as good as Baylor should play, top 5, top 10 schedules. And I'm glad to see Scott Drew's doing it. For years and years, he got ripped on for his schedule. And, but, he had a plan. He was trying to build a program, and you got a schedule to have some success when you're trying to build and create some momentum from your fan base and things like that. So they did that for a while, but now they're a top 10 program perennially, and they should be scheduled in this way.
Jason King, SicEm365. Jason, thanks for hopping on with us. Talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Hope to see you soon. Thanks.
All right. Jason King, one of our great contributors to SicEm365.com. He and I have an ongoing restaurant text back and forth on travel. He's that's one of the things that kind of delineates us, me and Smokey, when we're on the road. And you're Craig's great because he's just game for anything. But
I'm so simple, man. I really do they have burgers and fries? Okay, cool. We can go there. I don't care.
But I like to try stuff that you can't get in your hometown. But if there's a P.F. Chang's in that town, we'll go every night. But believe me, I know when we stayed in Scottsdale, Arizona, we ate at P.F. Chang's out of 5 nights 4 times.
Yeah.
I think we went to a Red Robin the other night. Of course, there's not many unique, Scottsdale's one of those towns that's all there is P.F. Chang's and Red Robins. But yeah, Jason King and I if there's a unique good restaurant in the city, it's automatically texted to the other one. So
I do want to make a mention